There are many ideas going around and many commitments have been made. We, I think, need to step up our action. Now the roadmap is clear. There are many options on the table to provide relief and support these countries. At the end of the day, we're talking about global public goods. I mean, we need to ensure climate action effectiveness throughout the world, or else we will not reach our goals. So we need to ensure that these public goods are also provided for in a global manner, you know, in a shared manner by the different jurisdictions. I think that bringing countries together is a good idea, exchanging ideas, and I hope that there's a productive outcome of this summit, of course.
Relations as well, very important, considering where we currently sit in the world when it comes to you have the war happening in Ukraine, with Russia, of course, playing a huge role in that. I mean, this helps ensure then you have the right conversations happening as well, doesn't it?
Well, I would much rather not have this kind of situations, of course. I mean, I hope that the war in Ukraine ends as soon as possible. But as chair of the IMFC, I am really focused in delivering in the autumn so that we can find concrete solutions and that we find common ways to deepen our cooperation and to respond in an effective manner to the different challenges that are shared around the world.
Yeah. Let's talk then just very briefly just about Spain's economy as well. Then, I mean, where do you see that really going? I mean, if one was to take a look at the inflation outlook, things aren't necessarily great. Europe overall is in a recession too, and the growth is really stagnant for many parts of it. How do you develop and continue to build that economy right now?
Well, yeah, the European economy is relatively weak right now, but that makes it even more outstanding, the fact that the Spanish economy is growing very strongly. Growth accelerated actually in the first part of 2023. We've been able to bring inflation down, so it's already around 3%, and it will go down also in June. And so the outlook is relatively positive when it comes to Spain. Companies are gaining market share, strong competitiveness gains because of low energy prices, and we are really driving forward a deep restructuring and modernization agenda with the investments and reforms which are already shifting and changing the shape of the Spanish economy, precisely to face climate change and to try to lead the new digital and green economies. So the outlook is positive, and it is a striking contrast with some other large European economies.
Yeah, you're going to need the buy-in, though, of one, business, but two, also just everyday citizens, right? And that can be told in an election, and those are very topical right now. I mean, would you get a sense that you're getting the kind of support you need to move that needle across when it comes to the elections?
Well, I certainly hope that the vast majority of the Spanish population supports our action. The economy is doing very well, and that may explain why the debate in Spain is not about economic matters, but rather about other issues which are more political, if I may say this way, such as human rights, women's rights, LGBTI rights, the different identity of the regions of Spain. Unfortunately, the debate right now is quite intense, and it is very far from the rational debate on the state of the Spanish economy. I suppose that it's precisely because we're doing quite well, better than well.
Yeah. There's a sense of fracture, though, right? There are sometimes parts that pull in separate directions when it comes to the euro area. Is there going to be a clearer sense of finding one way to kind of move forward, or is it about taking in all those parts and perhaps developing the right kind of roadmap using that?
Well, it's a very good question, because Spain is going to take over the leadership, the presidency of the European Union's Council of Ministers in the second part of the year. So we're running up, in a couple of weeks we will be taking over those discussions. And there are a number of files that we need to bring over the line, as many as possible by the end of the year, which are quite important to shape the future of Europe. It has to do with fiscal rules, the European budget, funding for Ukraine, a number of banking union, capital markets union. Many of these files will be very relevant and will shape, the deepening of the European integration in the years to come. that's on the economic front, but since I'm Minister for Digital Transformation, as you mentioned, let me also say that another very important file we'll be working on is artificial intelligence regulation. You know, how to define the European framework to support innovation, but in a manner which is compatible with our rights and democratic values.
I mean, that would also mean that in some ways you tackle kind of the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act from the United States. Would you support then a pact where together as Europe you move that conversation forward together? Because that's going to be quite critical, that they're able to do that. Yes, it's a lot more difficult as Europe, but very necessary.
Well, absolutely. I mean, being the European Union is a complex organization, and so bringing everybody together. But what I think is that there is no win-win outcome in a war, in a subsidy war. It has never been a solution inside Europe. It has never been a solution at the world level. You know, it's really lose-lose. So I hope that the dialogue with the US and also with China, you know, throughout the world, actually helps us find win-win solutions to the improvement of our economies and our societies. You know, summits like today's summit, bringing together the different jurisdictions all around the world, is a good forum to try to find those win-win solutions that we desperately need.